All right, shalom, shalom. Kahalayim la Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakakodash, the honors to the apostles, and to the others of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. Much peace, love, and salutation to the hopeful elect that are pushing his word in truth and sincerity of heart. Shalom. This the brother Batak back again through the spirit with another lesson, and Lord willing, this lesson be edifying. So I was thinking about nuclear war, and I was thinking about the effects. We know what prophecy says about America and how it's going to end and how it's going to end in fire. And I was thinking about what vehicle could protect you from nuclear war. Just to make a point about how destructive it's going to be, and the only way to survive it for people that are lesser on the food chain, so to speak, normal, your average Joe, so to speak, you are going to need to be off of the soils of America. You're going to need to be off. And this is a special way the Most High is going to save his elect, because he's going to bring the nuclear destruction, but he's also going to save his elect. He's going to deliver them from the nuclear explosion. And I'm not saying seek asylum in another country. I'm not saying flee the country. That's how you're going to escape nuclear war, because that's not how you're not going to escape that. It's going to happen. And I was just thinking about what vehicle could protect you. Of course, Esau have created military grade vehicles that are designed to so-called protect you from nuclear war or nuclear blast or fallout. But in some cases, according to what the prophecy says, the destruction is going to be 200 million warheads, man. That's going to be a lot of firepower, man. A lot of damage, a lot of destruction done. So if anything is on the soils of America, it is not going to survive. The Most High is bringing heavy judgment. This place is going to be completely destroyed through and through. The amount of missiles that's going to hit this place is going to cause severe damage. It's not going to be just 100 nukes. It's going to be a 200 million warheads, man. Nothing can survive that. And that's the whole point. So, of course, the ChatGPT listed like military grade weapons, but other than that, or military grade vehicles, the point of this lesson is for the elect to be delivered via the chariots, so-called UFOs. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 11. All right, Salaki, I had to answer that call. Let them know I'll call them back. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 11, verse 12. It says, and they heard a great voice from heaven saying, come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. So the Lord is going to deliver his elect via the vehicles of his vehicles, so-called UFOs or UAPs, but we know identify them in the scriptures as chariots, Marakab, if I'm not mistaken, vehicles. They're vehicles of the Lord, I believe that's the Hebrew word, Marakab. But if I stumble across the chariots word, let me see, chariots of Israel. Let's see, I think it's Marakab. All right. It's the book of Second Kings, chapter 2. I'm going to start at verse 11. This is when Elijah got taken up from Elisha, and he beheld it, and he seen it, because really the same thing happened to our Lord Yahushua. He was taken up into a chariot, a so-called UFO, or a cloud, or a horse. There are many different metaphors. I did a lesson about that a while ago. about how the chariots of the Lord, UFOs can be described as different metaphors like clouds and chariots and things like that. So he got taken up by a whirlwind. That's another reason, another name for the chariots. You can read that. That is another name for the so-called UFOs. If you read Ezekiel, the first chapter, 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 11. And it came to pass, as they still went on and talked, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and the horses of fire, and parted them both asunder. And Elisha went up by a whirlwind into heaven. See? So while they was talking, a so-called UFO came out of nowhere and took and grabbed Elisha and took him up into it and then left. So this is what Elisha saw. And she says, and Elisha saw it, and he cried, my father, the chariot of Israel and the horsemen thereof. And he saw him no more, and he was taken, and he took hold of his own clothes and rent them in two. So Elisha witnessed what they would call an abduction, which we call it. So basically, to put it in terms that you will understand today, and only for that reason why I'm saying it this way, Elijah was abducted, so to speak. But he wasn't going to see no green men, from Mars and all this other bullshit. No, he went to the heavens. He went to be with the Father, just like when Yahushua got taken up. He went to be with the Father. Rakab, I'm sorry. So it is Chariot, Rakab. Here it is, Rakab. I don't know where I get my Rakab from. So the Hebrew word Rakab, which means to mount and ride, sit and ride. Something is to cause to mount and ride. It's a vehicle, something that you ride in, so to speak. So a whirlwind is what he was taken up in, so-called UFO, man. Let's go to the book of Acts, because this is the only way you're going to live. This is the only way you're going to survive nuclear war. The elect are going to be taken up out of here by Yahushua when he returns. Is it? What chapter is it? Acts chapter 1? Acts chapter 1. I'm going to get straight to the point. Verse 9, it says, and when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, that means while they was watching, he was taken up, and a cloud, which is a metaphor for a UFO, received him out of their sight. The same thing that happened to Elijah happened to Yahushua. Yahushua was taken up in the cloud. Elijah was taken up in a chariot. It's talking about the same thing, the chariot of Israel. So let's go to the chat real quick. Could UFOs be described? Let's see what it says. Could UFOs be described as a cloud or other metaphors in the Bible because the terminology wasn't created yet? It says some people have proposed that unidentified flying objects might have been described in ancient texts like the Bible using the language available at the time, such as clouds, fire, or chariots. However, this idea is perspective and not supported by mainstream historians or biblical scholars. Of course it's not. Why people make this connection? Ancient writers didn't have modern technological vocabulary when they described unusual things in the sky. They use familiar imagery, for example, clouds. In passages such as those describing the presence of the Most High, often called the glory cloud, the Bible frequently mentions clouds accompanying divine appearances, chariots of fire. In the story of Elijah being taken up to heaven, 2 Kings chapter 2, which is what we just read, the text describes a chariot and horses of fire, wheels within wheels. The prophet Ezekiel described a complex vision in Ezekiel chapter 1 that includes strange wheels and shining metal, which some modern readers interpret as mechanical imagery. These passages are sometimes cited by people who believe ancient texts may describe advanced technology or extraterrestrial craft. So, of course, I don't know what I put in last time I searched that, but it was a little bit more. It was a little bit more accurate than that. It was a lot more accurate than that. And damn it, I don't know what I have to look through my videos to find it. But I did a lesson on that, the chariots of the Most High, and I went to the chat, and they went in on it. It went in. So, Acts chapter 1. Of course, Esau has been messing with ChatGPT, changing things up. And this is something true. When last time I typed something in that was even similar to that, it told me a different answer. It told me yes about, them using terminology that was more common at that time. But it still said it this time, but it gave me a lot more detail when I researched it last time. This is Acts chapter 1, verse 10. It says, and while they looked steadfastly toward heaven, while as he went up, behold, two men stood by him in white apparel, which also said, ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Yahushua, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. So what is that telling you? The same way the angels is telling you that the same way Yahushua left when he left the disciples after spending time with them, before he departed. I believe he was with them 40 days, if I'm not mistaken. Before he left, he was taken up in their sight. He proceeded to a so-called UFO right while they was watching him, man. After he spent them 40 days with them. He left in a so-called UFO in the same way he's coming back. And how is he going to do that? He's coming to save. He's coming to save the elect. He's coming to deliver. This is the book of Matthew 24 and 30. It says, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man coming in heaven. Then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. See? So when Yahushua returns, he's coming in a chariot, a so-called UFO, and that's what's going to cause the elect to be delivered from the nuclear destruction. That's the whole point. This world is ending in fire. How are we going to escape? Well, this is how we're going to escape. The chariots of the Lord. Revelations 1 and 7. Behold, he cometh with clouds. These clouds is what? Metaphor for a UFO. It says, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and even and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him, even so Amen. So Yahushua is going to return the same way he left, in a so-called UFO, in a chariot. And what is he going to do? He's going to save the elect. That's why the scripture says in Revelations, which I already got it, they shall hear a voice from heaven saying, come up hither. And they descended in a cloud. Wait, did I finish that? I'm going to read it again. Come up hither. Let's read it again. Revelations chapter 11, verse 12. It says, and And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven the same way Elijah did. Okay. The same way Yahushua ascended up. And it was by the what? The same vehicle. Come up hither. And they ascended up into heaven in a cloud. What is it? A nimbus? No, it's not a nimbus. It's an actual vehicle. Rakab. It says, and their enemies beheld him. See, the enemies of Israel are going to see them be delivered. So there is no vehicle known to man. There's no vehicle that we have that everybody, nobody, Esau has military grade vehicles that he have designed to try to protect himself, but he's not going to protect himself. So there's no vehicle that can literally withstand the judgment of the Most High that he's going to bring. And it's going to be by nuclear fire, man. So you don't have no safety but in the Lord. These vehicles are not going to deliver you. Esau may think he's going to escape. He may create weapons and, vehicles that can withstand nuclear blasts, but he's not going to escape. They're going to be preserved. It's the ones that's going to be preserved are going to be preserved for judgment. Going straight into slavery. That's why they're going to be preserved. But most of everybody going to die. Most of the people are going to die. So, let's see. Verse 13, the point, it says the same hour was there a great earthquake. That great earthquake is talking about those missiles, detonating, causing mass devastation. It says in the 10th part of the city fell, and the 10th part is referring to America. If you ever look it up, America is split into 10 FEMA regions or 10 zip codes. You can look it up. Let's actually go prove it. All right, here you go. These are the 10. See, the 10th part of the city is talking about America. See, America is split into what? 10 parts, 10 FEMA regions or 10 zip codes. See? America split into 10 zip codes. Come on. Let me see. Go to images. There we go. See? America split into 10 different zip codes. Just like it's split into what? 10 FEMA regions. See? So the 10th part of the city is talking about America. Revelation chapter 11, verse 13, it says, in the same hour was there a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell. That means all of it. That's talking. If it says the 10th part, it's talking about all of America, all of it, all of the states. See? It says, in the same hour there was a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell. And in the earthquake was slain of men 7,000. See? 7,000 means what? 7 means completion. So everybody that's on America, the soils of America, is going to die. Everyone. The scripture's not lying. It says, and the remnant were affrighted and gave glory to the power of heaven. So what? The only vehicle that can help you escape the nuclear destruction is what? The Rakab, the chariots of Israel, the vehicles of the Lord. That's the only vehicle that's going to protect you from the nuclear war, nuclear destruction, because the elect are going to be taken up from the earth. They're not going to be on the earth anymore. They're going to be literally taken off of the earth, and they're going to be in the heavens witnessing the destruction. Revelation chapter 15, verse 1. And I saw another sign in heaven, a great and marvelous, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues, for in them is filled up the wrath of the Most High. And I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire. That sea of glass mingled with fire, talk about the ozone layer. The ozone layer is the sea of glass, and it's mingled with fire because of what? The nuclear destruction. And them that had gotten victory over the beast, talking about Esau and his empire. His America's a part of that. It started with the Greeks, and it's going to end with America. The Greeks, the Romans, the British. Damn it, I'm sorry. America is an extension of the British Empire. It's a part of that. All of it is a part of that beast system. It says, and over his image and over his mark, which is the RFID microchip, and over the number of his name, standing on the sea of glass, having the harps of the Most High. So the sea of glass, if the sea of glass is the ozone layer, then how would he elect? How is John the Baptist standing? He's seeing this vision, and they're standing on the ozone layer because they are literally above the earth. You see, the elect are going to be taken up off of the earth into the heavens, man. They're going to literally be lifted up into the sky and look down and see the destruction, man. America, boom, going up in flames. Just like they showed you in that movie, and it's the International Space Station. What is the ISS movie about? Let's see what it says, because I think it's ISS movie. All right, you can look at credits on this movie, but it says the ISS is a space thriller about astronauts aboard the International Space Station who become caught in a geopolitical crisis on Earth. Basic plot: the movie follows a mixed crew of Americans and Russian astronauts working together on the ISS. Everything seems normal until war breaks out between the United States and Russia on Earth. Both sides then retrieve secret orders from their government, blah, blah, blah. It's not mentioning hold on. This is a spoiler alert, by the way. If you ever watched the trailer to this movie, you will see what I'm referring to as when it says fire. You're gonna actually see fire on Earth. I can't pull it up right now. I don't know if it'll get copyrighted. Let me see. Let's go to Google. Let's go to Google. Sorry. ISS movie. It came out 2023. This will be let's see. Images. Okay, here we go. See? In this movie, as you can see, the Earth is completely on fire because of the nuclear war that breaks out in this movie. See? The Earth is on fire. This is what the elect are going to see. They're going to look down. They're going to be in the heavens. And they're going to look down and they're going to see literally the Earth being on fire. And they showed you that in that movie. ISS, it came out in 2023. So jumping back here. Revelation chapter 15, verse 2. And I saw it, and I saw as it were a sea of glass, the ozone layer, mingled with fire, just as you've seen in this image. The ozone layer, the sea of glass is the ozone layer because that's what it is, protection of the Earth. And it was mingled with fire, as you can see in this image. And I saw it was a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them that had gotten victory over the beast, and over his image, and over his mark, and over his name, over the name of his, and over the number of his name, standing on the sea of glass, having the harps of the Most High, because this is what the elect was delivered from the nuclear destruction. And that's the point. Nuclear war is going to break out on the earth. America's going to be destroyed completely by fire. Nobody's going to survive. The elect are the only ones that are going to be delivered. And how are they going to be delivered? By the powerful vehicles of the Lord. Those are the only vehicles that can protect you from the nuclear destruction. And that's the whole point of this lesson. No car, you know, even if you did survive in the military, in the tank or whatever, you're not going to survive the nuclear fallout, the radioactive fallout. And that's going to happen but as a result of it. And I see that being not even possible because the amount of destruction, the Most High, the amount of missiles the Lord is finna bring on this place, the amount of warheads that the Lord is going to bring, is going to completely lay this place flat. It's going to lay waste to mountains there. So I don't see nobody surviving that. And that's facts. So Lord willing, this quick lesson was edifying. It was just something else on my spirit. You know, the chariots of the Lord are very important, and they are the vehicles of our salvation. Let me see. Is there a vehicle? Let's finish Matthew 24, and I read verse 30. I'm gonna read it again. It says, "And there shall appear the sign of the Son of Man coming, man in heaven." Well, what is the sign of the Son of Man? The chariots, the so-called UFOs, the clouds. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, because of what? They're gonna be afraid. People are gonna be scared when they see the skies covered with so-called UFOs. They're gonna think it's, they believe on Esau's, Hollywood, so they're gonna think it's aliens, but nah, it's the Lord. It says they're coming to save, and they also coming to destroy, because that's what out of the scriptures tell you. Out of his mouth comes fire, out of the chariots. It says, "And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory, and he shall send his angels with the great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the earth." Because what? The elect are going to be the elect are going to be delivered. The main deliverance is going to be in America. That's what Apostle Tahar always teaches. The main deliverance is going to be in America. It says, "He shall send his angels with the sound of a trumpet, and shall gather together his elect from the four winds of the earth." Because what? How are they going to be gathered? They're going to be gathered because of the chariots. They're going to be delivered, in so-called UFOs. It says, from one end of heaven to the earth. And immediately after that, the end is going to happen. That's the elect got to be off the earth before those missiles hit the earth again, before they hit the ground. So Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I'm going to close out by giving all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Makakodash, that put honors to the apostles,